Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. Before you listen to this episode, go over to Instagram and please follow us at Carissa and Jason, and then hop straight over to YouTube and subscribe to us at Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. We appreciate your support and we hope you enjoy this episode. Now we're live.
Totally screwed up my intro.
That's our 10th episode, everybody.
Number 10. What's up, y'all? What's up? You're back here with Real Talk with Carissa and Jason.
Back with your boy Jason, with your girl Carissa.
What up?
Thanks for coming. You've listened to 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Bravo to
well,
you.
maybe not. Maybe they only listen to one. Maybe this is their first one.
Well, I'm giving people benefit of the doubt
Yeah,
here.
fair enough.
Well, whether
Fair
this
enough.
is your first or your 10th, welcome
Yes.
to Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. What do we do here?
We talk about our own life experiences and how we go through life to kind of show people and give people an idea of how they can live the best life they've been given. It's been a while since I've said it like that.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I almost
Very succinct, direct.
I almost forgot what it was.
What exactly we do.
Yeah.
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 Just come to have fun once a week.
Except when you're sitting in traffic to get here.
Yeah. Not fun.
Yeah.
Not fun
Did
at all.
I say sorry for that already? Like I feel bad
I
for
mean, it's not your fault.
that. I know.
I mean, you could reimburse me if you'd like.
All right.
I take $100 bills, checks,
Well,
bank transfers.
them cookies that Duke made, they're worth like $100
You know what?
each.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is very fair.
All right. So we're even?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fine.
Nice. Thanks, Duke.
Yeah. Anyways, today we have a great topic of discussion, which is, would you like to explain?
I don't even know how to explain it.
Okay, so what we wanted to talk today about is what exactly should we be praying for or focusing on, or maybe why your prayers haven't been answered yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah,
Why they haven't been answered yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
that's a good one.
Yes, it is.
Well, the first thing I want to get out of the way is, I remember last week you were saying how God answers all of our prayers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would argue that the way you phrased it,
Okay.
because I don't think he answers all of our prayers, because I think God answers prayers that are according to his will. So for example, if I pray, you know what, God, I'm really mad at Jason, give me an opportunity to just tell him like it is, to just tell him where to go. Give me an opportunity to just cuss him out. But it's that's not God. God doesn't want that. So
Why you say that with passion
God's
like
not-
that? Why you're looking me dead in my eye with passion when you're saying that?
I am just an actress, okay? I'm very good at my
All
job.
right. Okay.
I'm very good at being an actress. Anyways, moving on. So, yeah, that wouldn't be in God's will for me to treat you that way, right? So, would God answer that prayer? No. If you said, God, I'm so mad at this person, help me murder them, help me
interesting.
come up with this bank heist.
Yes.
Let's say you're going to rob a bank.
Yes.
Oh God, help me.
Yes.
Right? God's not gonna help you rob a bank.
Yeah. You know what? Valid point.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm happy you brought it up or if I'm disappointed that you brought it up, because I feel like, if people really thought that by his word being that he answers all prayers, if they got out of that they can pray for malice
Yeah.
and destruction and evil, and that's going to come through, if that's what they thought, then
I would give people the benefit of the
well,
doubt
so-
and think that they did.
so this goes back to, I don't know if I'm happy you brought it up to clear it because you are
Yeah.
100% right, or if I'm disappointed that you had to bring it up because there's people out there that might think that falls into the line of prayer. But either way,
You know what? I bring it up for the person that, most people aren't inherently just pure evil. You know what I mean? A lot of times what we're trying to do, what we think is the right thing or what we think is the good thing, but we're kind of messed up in our heads about what's actually right and what's not, right? So that's why I think we constantly need to check ourselves. Are our prayers aligned with the will of God, right? Let's say, I don't know, let's say a wife is cheating on a husband, right? Oh God, or a wife a woman is trying to be with a married man, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, I want this man to like be my husband, like, and you're praying for this man to be your husband.
Gotcha.
Right? You know, maybe you're doing it with the best intentions. Like, maybe you love this man. Maybe he's in a bad, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
You think the intentions are right, but you know that's not God's will for a mentally
Okay.
life, right?
Touche.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of people don't go into it thinking that they're being evil or purposely like praying destruction, right? Some people are.
Yeah.
But for the most of us, we think that, you know, we're praying for the right thing, but sometimes we're really not.
Good point.
Yeah.
I take it back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Good argument.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I think once I realized that, it kind of like opened a door to be like, okay, so maybe that's why like a lot hasn't changed in my life, or you know, I think God is not answering my prayers, but maybe he's like answering like the biggest prayer of all, which is like, you know, keep me safe, or you know, keep me at peace, or protect me, or you know, what, I don't want to go to hell, like whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
If those are according to his will, then he's definitely going to answer those versus, you know, the thing that's leading you to, you know, something that's not so great.
Yeah. Good point. And I should preface by saying more times than not, because I forget, like I just forget sometimes, but more times than not, when I am having a conversation with him, I am including in there, if it is your will.
Yeah.
More times than not.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget. Sometimes maybe I try to manipulate it a little bit, and I'm like, I don't want to say if it's your will, because if I say if it's your will, you might say it's not your will and I don't get it.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I leave it out, maybe I'll get it.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't work that way, but this is just how my brain works sometimes. So yeah, that is a very, very valid point. Very valid point.
Well, I think what's interesting, kind of like a starting point, is there are some things that we know for sure is God's will, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, like for us to have peace,
Mm-hmm.
to have comfort in times where we're shook,
Mm-hmm.
right? To be slow to get angry, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that I feel like has to deal with like our heart. We know what God's will is, and then when it pertains to our specific situations of our life, right? Are we meant to get this job? Are we meant to marry this person? You know, are we meant to close this business deal, buy this house, right? You know, you're not going to find that anywhere in the Bible or wherever else that you're searching, right? That answer specifically is not going to be anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's interesting is knowing what is in God's will, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I find that when you know that, it's easier to see if something lines up in your life to it or not. And I feel like it just kind of like makes your life easier, right?
Way easier. Yes. Yeah. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we do it. It's exactly what we're trying to get out of it. It's to make our lives easier.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. So, okay. Do you have any, right off the bat, do you have an example of a time where you prayed for something and it came through or did not come through, and why?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've got lots.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
One specifically.
Want me to give you one when you think about yours?
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right.
You got it.
Totally just hijacked the question.
That's okay.
But if you have one, go ahead.
Okay, go. It's okay.
All right. So recently, I was working on a deal with a client to buy a condo.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're doing this, you know, we go see this condo. They like it. It fits what they need and what they want it for, and all of that stuff fits the criteria. And we're going to put an offer in. They say, okay, let's put an offer in. So I'm like, okay, we can put an offer in. We talk about price. We talk about all the clauses, blah, blah, blah. And I say to them, just do me a favor. Just contact your lawyer. Let your lawyer know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And at the time, I did. Oh, and by the way, before we went, I prayed. I had a conversation with God. I was sitting in the car before I met with them, and I just had a quick conversation with him.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I pray for a great showing. I pray for no anxiety for my client. And I know that there was going to be tenants in the unit there. So I prayed that they would just be cooperative and inviting and warming and all that kind of stuff. And if it is your will, allow this purchase to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get out now. Now I'm fast forwarding it. We get out now. We talk about the price and putting in an offer. And I'm like, just off the cuff. I've never really said this to I won't say never. Rarely do I say to a client before putting in an offer, go talk to your lawyer.
Yeah.
Rarely. And if I'm going to be really honest, I don't even know why I said it.
Yeah.
It's not something that I normally say because there's no need to speak to your lawyer first. But it came out of my mouth. It is what it was. I go home. I go to the office, draft up the offer, ready to go. The client calls me and he's like, hey, I just spoke to the lawyer and the lawyer told me that because there's a tenant in there, he doesn't think we should go ahead with the deal. And I'm like, why? And he said, because of the whole COVID thing, there's a law that passed that protected tenants. And a short version is that the tenant, whether or not the landlord sold, has the choice to stay or not. So they cannot evict anybody under the new COVID laws.
Yeah.
So I was aware that there was a tenancy thing that was protecting tenants. I was aware of that. But in real estate, that I assumed that the deal would be dead if the landlord left. But no. If they went ahead and purchased that unit and the tenant did not want to leave, the tenant wouldn't have to leave according to the lawyer.
Wow.
So that was something that happened that we all wanted it to happen, but we prayed on it. Something comes out of my mouth. Advice comes out of my mouth that paid off because it protected them and we moved on from it.
Yeah.
And ironically, that was months ago. The unit still hasn't sold yet. So there's something going on there with that particular unit.
Yeah.
So I believe that was a clear and present example of talking to him, asking him, and him coming through.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't like the outcome.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen the outcome, I like it.
But you know what helped you at the beginning was when you said, if it's your will,
definitely
let us get this unit.
Definitely.
Can you imagine if your prayers sounded like, God, we really need this unit. I pulled down the angels from heaven and all four corners of the earth to get this unit, you know? You would have been really disappointed with the result.
I would have buried my head in my bed and not gotten out of bed for months because I would have put my clients in a position that wouldn't be good, and I couldn't live with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's a recent example of.
And I think what's interesting is I've heard lots of people say, I think it says in the Bible, but I can't remember, about how you should pray like with expectancy, right? That God will do, there is something that says God will do exceedingly and abundantly more than you can ask or think, right?
Yes.
And I think, so we should pray with expectation that God is going to come through in a big way. But I think our issue is we get so specific with our expectations. It needs to look like this. I want it to be at this time, with this much money, with these people, and blah, 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 blah. And God is saying, okay, so, you have to pray with expectancy. But also, like, are you God? Like, I'm the one that makes the decisions here. I'm the one that runs the show, right?
Yeah.
So I think when we really manage that, we really manage our level of disappointment or thinking that God doesn't love us.
He loves us so much that he'll disappoint us.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Right? It's like a higher version of your parents and your kids. Yeah. Your parents disappoint you all the time. Yeah. I want this. I'd like to do that. No. You are pissed off at them. Yeah. But when you get older, you start to understand why they did those things. Yeah. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah. Most of the times it's for your protection.
Yes.
Yeah. And because they know better than you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That to me was like understanding the protection thing was a huge thing for me because looking back now, like being older and seeing all the things like my mom didn't let us do as a kid, right? I'm like, yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense now. It's like, why does she always say, wear your helmet? And like, she would get so pissed at me if I rode a bike without a helmet, right? And as a kid, I'm just thinking my mom has it out for me. I'm like, my mom wants me to be a loser and doesn't want anybody to be friends with me because nobody else is wearing a helmet, right?
Yeah.
And then you grow up and you're like, well, that's logical. Yes. That makes a lot of sense, right? So it's the same thing with God. Like a lot of things are what he's telling us to do or not to do is a lot of it's for our protection.
Yeah, all of it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, facts. Yeah.
All of it is, like, whether we see it or not. And for anybody listening that thinks, well, yeah, of course you should wear a helmet, and yeah, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure that out. Believe it or not, it's the exact same way with what we're talking about with God.
Exactly. There's something in your life where you're being like how we were when we were kids. Like, you're stomping and you're crying. Why can't I have this? Why isn't it like this? Why isn't blah, blah, blah? And God's just like, hey, it's for your protection. You can't see it right now, but you will.
Yeah. For people that, that think that, I want to pray for money. There's a way to pray for money. There's a way not to pray for money. And neither of us are really qualified to tell you factually, how you do it.
Yeah.
Right. But I can tell you, I can speak for me and you can speak for you on how I would go about in praying for that if I wanted money. And, actually you go first. Okay.
So this is what sparked this topic of conversation for this podcast, right? Was what actually changed my mind on this is one of my pastors, she gave this preaching on the currencies of heaven. And I was like, okay, so what does that mean, right? And then we think about like currency here on earth, right? American dollars, US dollars, whatever. The currency on earth is money, right? Way back in the day, it was like cows and fish and silver and gold and iron, whatever, right?
It's going to go back to that in the future.
Maybe, yeah. Or maybe it'll be Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
But right now, the currency is money, right? Okay, but when you look at God and you look at the currency that God operates in, like, is it money? Like, no, God operates in other currencies, which things that he can give us, right? Which is faith, hope, strength, comfort, peace, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, right? All of these things. So when we think about how God operates, like, when we ask for something and he gives it to us, if you're to go and ask God, like, hey, so I need $1,000, right? Or, I really need this $1 million deal, whatever it is. Are we asking God for the right thing? Should we be asking, this is how I approach it now, and I found that it's really actually helped me, right? God, give me the connections that I need with people. Give me more wisdom and understanding on this business. Give me more faith that you can do bigger than what I even have imagined. Give me more peace that, like, this won't always be my situation, or, if there's ever stresses that come up, give me more peace to handle it, right? I think we kind of get so caught up that we forget about those things, those currencies that God works with, and we get caught up in this world, right?
Back to the basics. I really like that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So instead of just asking for the thing, ask for the help to get the thing.
Yeah, well, because, like, that's, I mean, I don't want to say, like, that's not how God works. Like, for example, like, let me tell this great story, okay?
Yeah.
So, I really wanted AirPods, guys, for the longest time. I was like, I'm trying to flex with AirPods. No, I'm just kidding. It just seems so convenient, okay? So, my mom got me a Costco membership for my birthday because I'm a grown woman now, okay?
Adulting.
Right? Nice. And Costco memberships are not cheap, okay? It's like $120, okay? So, listen, okay, that's just pocket change for Jason. So.
No, I'm not laughing at that. Come on, man. That's a lot of money. You get out of here.
Yeah, $120. Okay, so AirPods are on sale at Costco for $189. They're usually like $300 something, right?
Are they for real?
Yeah, they're a lot of money. So AirPods at Costco are $189. So I'm like, yo, I want to go buy these AirPods. And like someone had gifted me money, right? And it's a time in my life where I have to be very careful about what I'm spending because I just have so many expenses coming, right? So, I'm asking God, I'm like, God, I really want AirPods. Like, should I spend this money on it? And I'm asking God, like, this doesn't feel like a wise way to spend my money right now. But, I haven't gifted myself anything in a long time. I really want these AirPods. And, I kind of just ended that prayer just being a little bit upset because I just knew getting AirPods wasn't the right decision.
Right.
So I was just like, man, I'm like, all right, So then the next day, my friend comes over for my birthday, and I'm telling her my dilemma. I'm like, should I buy AirPods? I don't know. I open the birthday gift she got me, and it's AirPods. I'm like, whoa. I was like, God, what? What? Like, you love me this much, God? I was like, wow. So it's like, and I didn't really pray, like, God, give me AirPods. It was just a discussion with him. So I don't want to say that you can't pray for those things and God can't gift you with them, right? Like, God can very, very well do that, right? Yes. But I just think when we get so caught up, for example, in those things, and maybe you haven't received those things, right? Whether it be a house or whatever it is that you're really praying for, especially if it's a material thing, I would suggest that, maybe you turn your prayer to, okay, am I maybe praying for the wrong thing for this situation, right? And also, does this like align with God's will? For example, like, the kind of bad stuff we were talking about before. Oh God, I really want to move in with this married man. Like, I'm really sorry. I don't think God is going to answer that prayer, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. That's a good story.
Yeah. It's a great story. It made me so happy. Yeah. I was like, wow. I felt like, I really felt like, I'm like, wow, like, nobody talked to me. Like, I was so hype.
You got to get God swag.
Man.
Walking with the swag of God. I got you. So, there may be other things out there that people are praying for and not receiving it the way that they want to receive it. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, is you also have to be open-minded. You also have to understand that because you want something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are supposed to have that.
Yeah, or that it's good for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of confusion comes into play. Yeah, in your mind, you having this thing or getting this thing, there's no harm in it in your mind. But, the saying, and I'm not saying this with money particularly, but there's a saying, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
What that means is just because you have more money, it doesn't mean that your life is going to be better.
Yeah.
Yes, you can buy things, but doesn't mean your life will be better.
Yeah.
So there are other things out there outside of money that you will think there's no harm in having it. And if you do have it, it's not a big deal and it'll make your life better. But in actuality, maybe it doesn't make your life better. But you're not able to see that because you're not a psychic and you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. And believe it or not, God knows what's best for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes against what we want and what we think. And I think that in order for you to find that inner okayness, I don't know if that's a term or not, but being okay with the fact that you're not getting this particular thing, or you don't have this, that, or the other. If you can get to a place where you genuinely are okay with it because you understand that there's a reason why you don't have it, you set yourself up for just being happy.
Yeah.
But when you hang on to that and you have that animosity as to why you don't have it, why is God not answering my prayers? Why is he not talking to me? You end up going down a rabbit hole like we talked about in last week's episode. And if you want to hear what that rabbit hole was that I got myself into by me not listening to God, check out episode 9.
There's this famous quote from the Bible. It's in Psalms. It says, God will give you the desires of your heart, right? And people use that all the time for okay, so God cares about what I care about and he's gonna give me the desires of my heart. But then the way it was rephrased for me one time totally blew my mind. Where it's okay, it's the same thing. God will give you the desires of your heart, meaning almost as we don't really know what our hearts truly desire because we are so caught up in our mind, we are so caught up in our body, we are so caught up in this world that when it comes to our heart, our true pureness, we don't even know what it is that we desire. So when it says God will give you the desires of your heart, that doesn't mean God will give you what you want. It means God will give your heart what it actually desires, right? Which is like what we should be desiring. I've noticed how my heart has actually kind of changed in a sense where I think about people more than I used to. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that within myself. I noticed that a lot more decisions I make in regards to not caring about people think, but caring about people.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean.
I that has changed a lot for me since my prayer became, God, give me the desires of my heart. I don't know what I'm actually supposed to be desiring here. What is it that, like, in my true pure human form in my heart am I supposed to be desiring? And since I started like praying that, like, I started caring about people more. And I was like, this is weird.
Well, it's interesting you say that because what you're talking about yourself, that's how I know you to be. Yeah. So I find it interesting. I just assumed that that's the way you've always been because, you and I speak every day, and every day it amazes me. We're like, before we get off the phone, we're like, what do you want to pray for? And, 3 out of the 5 days, I'm like, I don't know what to pray for. And you immediately just kick in, and 5 out of the 5 days that we're doing it, your prayers are about somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's always somebody different. And it's, what I call a rando. It's just a random person that I don't know. You know them, but I don't know them. But I've always been amazed, and I admire you about it, actually, that, when we have these opportunities when we're praying, you're not focused on yourself. You're actually focused on other people. Mm-hmm. You're praying for me when I'm on the phone. You're praying for my family. You're praying for your family. You're praying for your friends. You pray for your enemies, which I just blew my mind. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around that.
It's a hard thing to
do. Yeah, I just could. But you taught me. Like, I don't really have enemies out there, but I have people out there who I just don't like.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't say I have enemies either.
Yeah. I don't have enemies, but I have people out there I just don't like.
Yeah.
And what I've learned, oh my gosh, I just had a revelation.
Okay, spill.
Woo!
Spill the beans.
Okay. So what you taught me was to pray for those people that I don't like.
Yeah.
Still. So at first, it took me a while to catch on, and I wouldn't do it at first. I fought it, to be honest with you. I'm like, I heard you, I listened to you, but I'm just going to fight this because bun that. Okay? That's my ego, and that's my pride, that's right? Then I was speaking to somebody, and I started to tell them that, we should be praying for some of these people that we don't like.
Yeah.
And we did.
Mm-hmm.
And after I did, I felt pretty good about it. So I started to continue to. And now that I think about it, never crossed my mind until right now.
Yeah.
That since I have started doing that, I've noticed a huge difference in how this person communicates with me now.
Wow.
And I would have bet the farm that relationship it is what it was, and I'm good with it. And you stay over there, and I'm going to stay over here, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you that I've noticed a difference in how they communicate, and I haven't said anything to them directly.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like I had a conversation and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should talk about this and that. No.
Yep.
I just prayed on it. And it's just happening right now. Praise God.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
That just happened.
Yeah. And you know what I find more oftentimes than not is not that something changed in that person that you're praying for, but that something actually changed in you. Something in your heart opened up more. Something in your eyes opened up more. Where now going into that situation, maybe you're not as angry, or maybe it very well could be they're communicating the same, but you're not receiving it the same. It kind of just goes over your head.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I can honestly say
they did. Yeah.
In this case,
yeah.
No, their communication style has
cool.
changed. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do feel like more times than not, though, it will be something that changes in yourself.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But that's
and this person, to know this person, anybody would agree with me on that one. Yeah. Wow, but I do see what you're saying. Yeah. When you change yourself, you see the world differently, and you see things differently. Yeah. Right. It starts with the journey. The very beginning of this whole journey. That's how it started. Yeah. You change something in yourself that enabled you to think differently, react differently, and process things differently, which is what set you on this journey. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Doing that is a very powerful thing, right? Because for example, like someone you're mad at or someone you consider your enemy, right, is someone that you haven't forgiven, whether it be like for something so small, like, you know, that one little thing they said to you, or, you know, the way they spoke to you, the way they looked at you. It could be that, or it could be something very big, right? But, you know, when you just read some truths about the Bible, and then you're just sitting there, you're just like, yikes, right? Because God says, like, who are you to not forgive someone when I forgive your bum ass every day? Yeah. Literally. And that's what God says. So it's just like, oh, shoot. And then, you know, when it comes to like forgiveness, when you look at it, like when you're mad at someone, or you're not, for example, not forgiving someone for something, whatever scale it might be, right? Most of the times that person is living their own blessed life, and you think that you holding on to your unforgiveness gives you an upper hand in this scenario, but it actually doesn't. What it does is it's literally just poisoning you day by day, because they're going on living their lives and you're sitting here. It literally just keeps you stuck, and it's a hard thing. It's not easy, but I really do feel like praying for those people that you don't like, for those people that you need to forgive for whatever it might be, really, really helps a lot. And again, there's another Bible scripture where it says, like, you know, Jesus was saying, like, everybody says, like, you know, love people, right? Or love the ones you love. But like, even like the worst of the worst people know how to love their friends and love their family. So what makes you any different from them? You need to love your enemies. That is how you are different, because you can't claim that, oh, you know, I love God, and, you know, I do this and I do that and whatever. But loving your neighbor, loving the people that you love, loving the people in your community, like, that's easy. Everybody does that. Not hard at all. Loving the people that you hate, that is hard. That is what really makes you different.
Preach.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I can tell you through experience that it changes things, though, for sure.
It does.
As hard as it is. And listen, and it's still hard for me. Like, you know, I had a revelation just now, and it's great, but I can't promise you
that you won't get frustrated.
That, I can't promise you that. But I did notice the change after praying about it. Yeah. So thank you for helping me with that, because that happened because you're leading by example. Yeah. You just don't talk the talk. You live that. And before you actually started talking it, I've seen you live it. So me seeing this in you, it opened my eyes up. And even though I fought it for a while, I gave into it eventually, and seeing the repercussion of that. Yeah.
You know, well, thank you for saying that. I can't even take credit, because it's definitely all God, but it's even our friend Noma that actually really gave me that kind of revelation. Because not that it was hard. It was hard before, right? It still is hard now. But like how I was saying, like I care for people more than I used to. Like, she really showed me the importance of like people's souls. And I'm like, wow, like I don't even just look at people as people now. Like, I look at them as like souls. And I actually care like on that level more than I used to. And it really was her that helped me understand that. Like, wow, okay, that person that you hate, God wants the same for them that you have right now. This same peace and comfort, this same relationship, like God wants the exact same for them right now. That person you think doesn't deserve it, this whatever it might be, that hedge fund CEO, or, you know, that family member that treats you like trash, whatever it is. God is so desperate for them too, as much as he was desperate for you, that he like chased you down, and you know, even after you put him through tests or whatever, like he's still there,
Don't
right?
remind me.
Yeah, like right. So it's like to really sit there and understand, like, wow, okay, you know, it's like a parent that plays no favorites, right? Like, you know, when people do wrong, God still loves that person. It's like it's really hard to comprehend, but then once you do, you're just like, wow, it's a very humbling moment.
Yes.
So I thank our friend Noma for that, who really kind of guided me through understanding that.
Shout out Noma.
Yeah.
How often do you pray or talk to God?
I feel like it's like all the time, but like, okay.
Once a day, twice a day, 4 times a day, once a week.
Okay. So, I mean, we've had the conversation before about like what prayer is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I consider it more of like a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just talking to God.
Me too.
But in terms of like sitting down, like I'm putting things away to intentionally talk kind of thing. I do that every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout the day, things will like come up, right? Maybe it's like 1 minute at a time. My prayers are very like short. Like I don't know why. Like I have a very hard time staying focused on them for a long time. So there's a lot of them in like short quantities.
Gotcha.
Couple minutes here, couple minutes there, like for whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Right. And I usually find that what I'm getting better at now is when a situation comes up, before I act or say anything, I'll pray. It could be something as very quick as, what do I do here? But it's, you know, when there is a decision to make, I always pray. Even very small decisions. Right? Like, oh, like I want to hang out with like a friend, like, well, you know, what time, or like, you know, who should I see, or like what should I, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's like in every kind of activity.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm probably similar.
Yeah.
My prayers are conversations for sure.
Yeah.
Like we almost talk like the way I would talk to you or my friends,
Mm-hmm.
except I'm not telling you or my friends that I worship you. You
Yeah.
know, and you are the God of all gods and the King of all
I'm
kings.
Cool. You can hold that.
You
Don't
know,
worry.
yeah. Like, I mean, outside of words like that,
Yeah.
they're very similar conversations. Definitely before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Like as I'm lying in my bed, before I close my eyes, I do that. And when I wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
it's a version of that. It's more like just thanking for getting me up out of bed and,
Yeah.
you know, like, okay, let's go to work now. What do you want me to do? Type thing.
Yeah.
That conversation. And then like you, if I have a conversation, if I have a meeting set up or I have a conversation coming up with somebody who I know it's going to need some intellect and some guidance and some direction, I just quickly just ask, hey, just shield me, cover me, and guide me to what you want me to say, what you want me to do, even if I don't want to do it. So I have a lot of those conversations throughout the day.
What I've realized helps, where I actually do a lot of my praying in the car when I'm driving. I actually pray a lot when I'm driving, now that I think about that.
Okay.
Because I think it actually helps me focus, being able to do, this sounds so bad, but doing like a mindless activity.
Yeah, I understand.
But you get what I mean?
Yeah,
Obviously I'm focusing when I'm driving, but like doing something like that actually really helps me to focus a lot more. Because my mind just wanders all the time.
Yeah.
Like
That's,
when I just...
Go ahead.
Yeah, when I just try to like lie down in bed and pray, it's like 20 seconds later I'm thinking about what I'm having for breakfast or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when I do it in the car and I'm able to kind of be like as loud as I want, or stuff like that, it's easier. It's easier for me to focus and easier for me to like get the words.
Yeah.
When I do it with somebody else, it helps a lot more too, because your mind can't wander when you're like praying out loud with somebody else, right? That's a big help. And also writing down my prayers. Yeah. Like I do it like in like bullet points. So like as soon as I like think about something, like I'll write it down, and then I'll sit there for like 10-15 minutes just like writing it down, and that really helps me focus a lot too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely get distracted easily. My nighttime prayers, it should be like 3 minutes, but it ended up being like 10 minutes because I've gone in multiple different directions during the prayer. I wonder if that's why they say, kneel down and pray. So if you kneel down, you're in a position where you really can't wander off. Like you're in a very isolated, specific position that forces you to stay focused. I just thought of this
I've
just
done
now.
that, and I can't stay focused.
Oh, okay. So
either.
regardless, okay.
I find that when I'm doing, I don't know, doing something that I've actually prayed while working out before, and that's like kind of cool too. But while I'm working out, I actually pray, like, because I hate working out. But while I'm working out, I'm like, I love working out, God. Like, thank you for giving me this muscle.
Right.
Like, thank you for giving me water. I love working out. Like, I'm literally just like trying to get myself into it. But yeah, like I find when I have something to physically do with it, it helps me a lot.
Are your conversations, is there a lot of similarities in your conversations? Or do you find that it's very different all the time?
Okay, I find that like when I don't really have anything going on like in my life, like nothing's really crazy, the conversations are kind of similar, right? Okay, like you thank God, and then okay, let your will be done today, like whatever it might be. Your prayers are kind of like regular things, right? But then when something is going on, that's when my prayers like shift, right, to whatever that might be. Right. So but I'll pray for like anything. So I feel like it's rare for me to say that they kind of like are similar, but you know what, I would actually say lately they haven't been as direct as like they used to be, because I think it was kind of just quarantine and being in my house a lot just made me lose a little bit of focus. But I used to be like, I'm like everything, like I'm praying, right? Like even if it's like a small thing I had to do that day, like I'm praying.
Well, I remember you prayed for, I think we prayed together, but you prayed on even the microphone, just buying what microphone to buy or whatever.
I pray for everything.
Yeah, I know.
Why not, bro? Like, come on.
Well, right? It worked. Did we not get a microphone?
Yeah, but I used to like, now it's like a quick thing, but I did used to take more time, and I think I've lost focus a little bit, and this is kind of a reminder for me to, because it's in those little things. Let me tell you how I really developed my faith in God, okay? So I was working in the distillery district, okay? And I had just bought my first car, so I'm driving to work, and with the way it works with like the GO train and stuff like that, like I worked really long hours. I had to drive, right? But parking downtown is very expensive. My workplace didn't offer parking. Great. So at that time, they had just made a new street parking that was free. Okay, free downtown Toronto. Okay, this is like a
which
big
means
deal.
You're never getting parking there.
Right? Okay. But this was like when I was very, very fresh, very new to like believing in God and praying and stuff like that. I would pray every single morning, like 5 minutes before I got to my destination. God, please give me a parking spot. Please, I need a parking spot. Like, God, it was literally that fast. Please, I need a parking spot. But it's like God knew that, I couldn't afford it, but I didn't really have another option here. This had to happen, right? Please give me a parking spot, okay? And every day I went, and every day I got a parking spot. And there were times where I would get there like maybe 10-15 minutes early, and there'd be no parking spot. And 2 minutes before I had to start work, a car would pull out.
Right.
And it happened when I say every time, every single time. Okay. And it got to a point where I was just like, I really have no choice here but to believe that God is doing this. Right.
Yeah.
And then even, so that praying for those small things really, really helped me develop my faith for like big things. Right. Because I'm like, well, every day this man can answer my prayer about a parking spot. It's like, so why can't I have the faith for this job or whatever it might be, something bigger, right? So praying for those small things, I think, is like such a key to really see God show off.
I think yeah. That's funny. I think we should disclose though that for anybody listening, if you pray for a parking spot and you don't get a parking spot, it doesn't mean there's no God.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, like
don't worry. No, I'm not. Yes, definitely. But like, you know, this sounds so silly, but I would do this, man. Okay, so it was in the dead of winter when I started praying for these things. I hated opening up an orange and it was like trash. You know, when your oranges taste like cardboard water, like trash, right? And it started to like bother me so much. I'm like, man, I just really want a good orange, right? And so I started praying for my oranges. I'm just like, I would grab an orange. I'm like, God, can this please be the best tasting orange ever? And I'd open it up and be the tastiest orange ever, bro. And people will say, okay, well, obviously the orange was already like that. And obviously, and I'm like, well, the person that did the grocery shopping for the office, how did you know they were going to pick out that orange on that day? God bless me with great oranges, kid.
Well, you had all bad oranges. So what are the chances that you had bad and all of a sudden you start praying on it and now they're good oranges?
Because I tested it. Because I would grab other ones from the batch and like they weren't good. But I would always get the good orange. Okay? Pray to God for the small things, guys.
Yeah, no, and you know what? That's a very good point. A funny point, but a good point.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think too often people only pray to God when it's a really serious thing.
Yeah.
And more times than not, a lot of us, when we're doing that, we're doing it because it's our last resort. It's not even that you want it or that you need it or that you believe that he's going to get you out of it. You're doing it because you're at your wit's end. It's your very last resort. Yeah. So it's, oh God, get me out of this. Oh God, do this, do that. It doesn't work that way, folks. It just doesn't work that way. It's very difficult for you to expect and want things but not believe it's going to happen. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. You have to pray for the small things. You have to recognize when it's happening and when it's not happening and why it's not happening. And when you really get into that lifestyle, I hate to use that word lifestyle in this conversation, but you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. But when you really get into that faith, then you will start to see the bigger things start to happen. The more significant things start to happen. But you can't just go to him, you know, you don't talk to him for months or years and all of a sudden now you're in deep shit and it's, hey, can you get me out of this now? Yeah. And I'm not saying he won't, but I'm telling you that, you know, your expectations right now are a little off the grid.
Yeah. Or I wouldn't say expectations because I think God doesn't answer our prayers like based off of like our performance, based off of like, oh, hey, like, you know, Jason, like you're a good boy, so I'm going to answer your prayers. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, that's not, if that's what you got out of that, that's not what I was alluding to.
So like God doesn't answer our prayers based off of like who has the best relationship with him or who's obeying him and stuff like that. God doesn't evaluate us like that or base how much he loves us off of our performance, right? God doesn't do that. But what you are doing in those situations is you're abusing God, right? You're abusing that relationship. It's as if like, you know, we keep talking about comparisons from when you're a baby and then when you're an adult, right? This is almost as if like, imagine you're an adult now and your parent is an old person, right? And you go to them just like, you know, when you're in debt and you need $5,000, you know, and they're this old person that just, you know, wants your love and attention and cares for you, but you only go to them when you need money or you only go to them when you need a babysitter. It's like that. Mm-hmm. It's like you are like, imagine what you are hurting like when you do that.
Good point.
Yeah. I know that's what you meant. I was just clarifying.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly. Yeah. That was that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real talk. That's some real talk. I mean, how long have we been talking now? We've been talking for like 45 minutes. Again, time flies when you're having fun.
Can't even believe that.
Yeah.
So, moral of the story, summary, wrap up. You want to wrap it up?
Okay, sure. Okay. Pray for small things, because those help to develop your faith. to actually believe that those bigger things could happen, or that God can make those bigger things happen. When you pray, really ask yourself, what are you praying for? And how maybe your framework on that could possibly change, right? Pray for the people you don't like. Continue to pray and explore what that means for you, because it'll look different for everybody, right? For example, like I said, I write out my prayers, but I don't pray at night, and Jason doesn't write it out, but he prays at night. It's different for everybody. And I don't know. I would just say just really explore like what that means in your life. And yeah, did I miss anything?
Yeah, no. The only thing I'll just add to it is don't pressure yourself that you need to pray a certain way.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Recognize that he, outside of the regular conversation, just recognize that he is the King of all kings.
Hey.
And he is the one that, and the only one who can help you achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So if you recognize that, praise him for that, and then have a regular conversation with him, that's how you pray.
I think the best prayer I ever prayed in my entire existence, nothing will ever top it, is, God, if you're real, help me to see it. Boy, did that prayer change my life.
And on that note,
yeah,
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. But that's been Real Talk with Carissa and Jason.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Have a great day, guys.
Deuces.
Guys, thank you for listening to another episode of Real Talk with Carissa and Jason. Listen, if you know someone that can benefit from this episode, we are asking you to please send it over to them. We would love for them to hear it. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Carissa and Jason, and over on YouTube at Real Talk with Carissa and Jason.